Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all? It's Thursday night. We've just had our clap for carers out there in the streets. Apparently, it's the last one that we're doing, but I'm sure people are going to continue. I'm delighted that you're all joining me for the Mike Brewer show. And this week's guest is a big friend of mine. He's got a lot to say about the world of cars, engineering, the armed forces, what he's up to, what he's been doing. And I'm very excited, and I'm sure you're going to clap your hands as we welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Jimmy De Ville. Woo! There he is. How are you, Jimmy?
Yeah, really good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. Me and Jimmy, this is quite funny, because me and Jimmy, we've been struggling this afternoon, right? Because we're two middle-aged men trying to make this work. And we got Jimmy on, we got his camera working, but we can't get a microphone working. So we got the microphone coming off an iPhone, which is pointed directly at a speaker. So hopefully you're going to hear him as well as see him, and that's the plan. So I've got his volume up as much as I can, but he's a little bit quiet. So we'll try and make this work. So welcome, Jimmy.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to be here.
It's fantastic. So what have you been up to in isolation? Have you been busy, or have you just been laying in the garden doing absolutely sod all?
No, it's been pretty hectic for me. It started, I got 14 hours notice to move by the armed forces. So literally before this kicked off, before we even isolated, I was there at an NHS depot helping those guys get the supplies out. And literally, I tell you what, the armed forces, Mike, incredible group of people. We were on the ground within 14 hours. We were there in the warehouse.
That's amazing.
So, hell of an experience to help out. It was amazing. The guys needed help. They were doing an incredible job, though. Can I just say that? But they just had so much kit that we needed to get to those hospitals right at the beginning of this. Obviously, there was too much for the hands available. So we went in there to assist them and got the depot empty, cleared, and all that stuff for the hospitals where it needed to be. So I was there for about a month at the beginning of all this. So that was pretty full on.
Oh, Jimmy, well done, mate. That's fantastic work. A lot of people out there won't understand that. The fact that you were called up by the army to go and help the army distribute PPE equipment. The truth is that you're an active member of REME still today.
Yeah, I am. You know what? Once a ream, always a ream. I'm now in the reserves. I know I do have some dodgy facial hair for the army, but they're very understanding because of the job I do in Civvy Street and the job I still do in the armed forces. So it's nice to be able to do them both, combine them both, and you know what? To be able to respond. Obviously, we weren't working at the time because everything stopped, and to be able to do something positive was just absolutely brilliant.
Well, we'll take our hat off to you, Jimmy. Thank you for everything you've been doing. It's been great, actually, hasn't it? This community spirit that's come out of this awful pandemic we've got all over the world. There's been a real community spirit. I, too, signed up to be one of those NHS volunteers. You buzz around the streets delivering prescriptions to people or a little bit of PPE to a care home. It's quite good, isn't it? It's rewarding.
It is. It's lovely. You were out today, weren't you?
There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't, what year a car you can drive. Nothing in the rule book at all. And I was thinking, look at that weather. The weather has just been amazing. So I burst out the 59 MGA, fired up on the button, took just about 4 cranks, fired up on the button. I put the choke in within 20 seconds and it was singing. And I thought, this car wants to go for a drive. So the good news is, who I was delivering to today, there was about 6 people I was delivering to. They all had a little bit of a passion, either for cars like Wheeler Dealers and Goblin Works Garage, or they just remember an MGA from their youth, and it was just lovely to do it. Brilliant.
Awesome.
I'll do it tomorrow as well. I'm going to be doing it tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Well, I've been doing it every day, but I might use the MGA tomorrow while the weather's like this. The first time it rains, I'm going to take the Porsche instead.
It's a hard life, isn't it, Mike?
It's tough being me. It's tough.
I tell you what, the vehicles I've been working with aren't as pretty as that. I've got to be honest.
Yes, well, let's talk about the vehicles you're working with, because already, in fact, I'm going to throw one up on screen. You should be able to see this. Here we go. This one is from Matt Enfield. Can you see? Yeah, there you go. So Matt wants to know, can we have some progress, please, on the tractor? Before you say what you're doing, Let me throw this up on screen as well, ladies and gentlemen. So Jimmy, as we know, he's got an illness, right? He's got that illness. He's got the illness we've all got. Is when you see something that you think, oh, that's going to make tin cans, or one day that's going to be somebody's shovel. When you see something like that, that's what most people tend to think they're going to be. But when Jimmy sees something like this, Jimmy thinks, oh, I know. That's not going to be soup cans. I'm going to put that back on the road.
Yeah.
Jimmy, that's hideous.
It is. Listen, that's my Fergie you're talking about. Right, I live at the end of a track. They'll look at that. That's after I did some work on it. It's got new wheels on there.
That's after you've done work.
Yeah. To move it, I had to put those whole wheels on because the wheels I found it on well, they weren't really wheels. Yeah. So I live at the end of a farm track, and a lovely old boy lived up there. He was 96, sadly passed last year. And his family have just started clearing back the overgrowth for many years. And I've lived here for 12 years, and I go running up there. I've been friends with Jack for many a year. And I didn't know this tractor was there. Honestly, there was bushes, shrubbery. And they cleared back, and suddenly there's this old Fergie sat there, and it just caught my attention. And one thing led to another. It's now in my workshop, Mike.
What do you mean? One thing led to another. What, do you have a glass of wine with it? Did you send it some smutty text? What happened?
Yeah, I spent quite a few hours. In fact, that photograph, the little place in front of that wheel, you can see the earth is a little bit turned. I spent many an hour crouched there, sort of hugging it, and stroking it, looking at it.
Now, Jimmy, right? I did a Fergie on Dream Car with Elvis, my mechanic. Yeah. And if you've seen that, you must have known just how crap and hideous and horrible the thing was. And we were pleased to see the back of it, to be honest with you. So what on earth possesses you, the man who we're going to talk about, the hot rods that you build and the Coyote engines that you shove in Capris and all these mad things that you do? What makes you look at that and think, I know, I bet you haven't even got a bloody farm, but you're going, I know, I'm going to get myself a tractor.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if you remember, but these things start when we're very young. And I had Britons. Do you remember Britons toys?
Yes.
And I had Britons, and you get the donkeys, the sheep. I didn't. I had the combine harvesters. I had the tractors. I just love that machinery, and it's gone on to obsess me my whole life. And when I saw this tractor, it was, that
that moment.
It me, mate. You're mental, but come on, let's have a go. I just had to. They talk to you sometimes. It's been sat in that hedge for 31 years. It hasn't moved.
Yeah, there's a reason for it, Jimmy. There's a reason it's been there for 31 years. It's a crap tractor from what year is it? 1950 something?
53.
Yeah, that's why it's probably been there since 1954.
Yeah.
Somebody invented a better tractor 2 years later.
I've even got the original logbook for it.
Have you?
It's beautiful.
What's it? A stone tablet on a stone tablet?
Yeah. Listen. You know and I know, right? It's been tricky times in TV at the moment. There's not a lot of telly getting made. It's tough times for us. And so I've wanted a project that I can do from home. And I'm also, we work with an incredible group of people, don't we, that hold the cameras, do the sound, do the editing, the whole thing. Wipe our bums for us, really, don't they, Mike?
Yeah.
A lot of the day.
Yeah, all of them.
Incredible. As I'm sure you have, learning their craft is an important part of us understanding what they do, because, proper T-shirt. Thanks. Cheers.
That's my buddy, Nathan Bovington. That's my buddy.
So I thought, listen, while we're stuck in this situation, I'm going to do this build. This is one I can do from home in my own workshop near to my house. I've got a couple of workshops. This one's just a little shed near my house, and I'm going to try and see if I can bring this old Fergie back to life. But listen, I don't know anything about this tractor. It's diesel. I don't do diesel, Mike. And I just thought this is going to be a lovely little voyage of discovery. It came to me by complete serendipity. It came to me during this time, and I thought, I've got to give it a go. And I'm going to do a little YouTube on it so people can see, join in, talk about
Brilliant.
it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Tell me, you're going to be doing it on your own?
No, I'm not. I'm going to involve friends. I've got a friend, Gav. He's ex-22 years RAF. He works on tornadoes, changing their engines, keeping them running. He's going to join me. I'm also going to have some special guests occasionally dropping in trying to help me where they can, or just swear at the metal that we're trying to unbolt and bolt up. But, you know, maybe people come around with some cars and hang out and help. But I just thought it'd just be nice, as we come out of lockdown, to try and do a project, involve a few people, have a bit of a laugh. You know what, she may never run again, but we're going to try and see if we can get that 31 sat in a hedge tractor going again.
Well, I've got a funny feeling you're going to probably want to borrow Elvis, because he's done one. He did one for me, yes. They are, I know I'm taking the mick out of them at the beginning, but the one thing about them is they are so, I was going to use the word, and it's stupid to use this word. They're so agricultural that they're kind of easy to work on. Do you know what I mean? The pistons are the size of dustbins. The piston rings look like hula hoops. You can, you know, it's quite easy to break them apart and put them back together. And Elvis actually really enjoyed working on it. So good luck to you, Jimmy. So people can follow the build of this, because there are people out there asking for it. Follow the build of this on YouTube. What's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube is Jimmy De Ville's Garage. There's not a lot on there now. There's a build I did a couple of years ago, but I'm going to get that going again. You know what, though? The biggest amount of time getting this tractor happening, it's not the tractor, it's sat in the workshop ready to go, is I've been getting lighting, sorting out my cameras and my sound. I've just bought a new computer today, which it'd be good if it'd been here, because we probably wouldn't have had the challenges we had. But just to do the editing, you know, there's a lot goes into it. So actually setting up the filming bit is the bit I've been catching up with. It's been taking a bit of time. And some good friends I work with in the industry have been helping me out with that. So, you know, that's been taking me time. But I'm doing this project really, me and friends. We're not doing it professionally. We're just going to have fun with it, enjoy it, learn about it, make mistakes, do terrible filming, get things out of focus, but just enjoy ourselves, enjoy the old Fergie, and see if we can bring it back to life.
Oh, that's going to be absolutely brilliant. So go and find Jimmy's YouTube page. Subscribe to it. If you subscribe, it's really important. That means every time he posts up a new video, you'll get the update to know there's a new video there, and you can catch up on the build. And he's doing it with the help of some military friends as well, which is absolutely fantastic to do. And as from Monday, we are more than happy to have them come over and have a beer in the garden.
Yeah, well, no, can I actually just say a little shout out to Gav, because Gav's ex-forces, but his wife is also an NHS nurse. Sadly, she actually just caught COVID a couple of weeks ago, so she's ill in bed. I just want to say, look, Hannah, thinking of you, all goes out to you. I hope you get well. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer until Hannah's better. You know, Gav's gone through the right kind of precautions before we can start. But you know what, we're going to wait. And this is all part of that. And this is what we're going through in the country. So, you know. It ain't some weird disease that we're going to keep him away. I'm going to get him. We're going to do it, but we're just going to do it the right way.
Yeah, so good for you, man. Good for you. Yeah, big round of applause to Gav, his wife. We've got friends out here following us online. Paul Hibbert, his wife, Anne, and his daughter. They work in frontline staff. My sister Denise, she works in a care home. She goes in every day with PPE. Lives on her own. So she comes home soulless, you know, nobody to hug at the end of the day. And she's been doing that for months. She's got kids that she can't see. So there's so many sacrifices being made. But I think as from Monday, you know, my sister, your friends, Paul Hibbert's wife, they can now have guests come to their garden and say hello, maybe have a barbecue, keep 6 feet away and have a pint of beer. And that's exactly what we need. It's another step closer to getting back to normal. Thank you very much, Robin Giles. My dad was a warrant officer in the REME, and my brother, respect. For those of you out there who don't know what REME is, it's the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. They are the guys. The easiest way to describe them, it's funny because I made a military documentary. A lot of people know that, in Afghanistan. And I was going to go back and make another one. And the next one I was going to make was solely focused on... there you go. Look at that.
Our REME symbol on that, if you can see it on there.
That's brilliant. Symbol. How nice is that? Fill it up with beer, Jimmy. Have a drink.
Yeah. So, it's actually a trophy I won for shooting, but I won't go on about that.
So I was going to go back out to Afghanistan and do a documentary solely on the REME, Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. And I was trying to describe the REME to somebody in television, one of our executives, Jimmy, that we know. And I was trying to describe what they do. And they said, well, who are they? Who are these people? Why do we need a documentary on these people? Who are they? And I said, well, think of it like this. When there's a battle on the front line and somebody's tank tracks get blown up and blown off, and a wagon gets blown over on its side, and there's a big old firefight going on. Guess who comes in and cleans all that stuff up? It's the AA of the front line. They come in, they rescue all that stuff, often under a full firefight. They retrieve the stuff, get it back to the base, repair it, and put it back out there for operational use. And that's who the REME are. It's the ultimate big boys workshop. Bloody brilliant people.
Yeah, awesome.
And what did you do when you was in the REME, Jimmy?
I'm an armourer, but right back, go back to 2006, 2007. That was actually my job, Mike. I was in force protection for the REME. So exactly what you said, a tank, or if I say tank, I'll get my wrist up. An armoured personnel carrier in Basra lost its track, I think through an RPG or something. We took in recovery, and my job was giving protection to the guys who were hooking it up on the recovery vehicle to pull it out of there. So I was force protection for those guys going in, getting that wagon back out of there, the crew's back out of there, and everyone home safe. So
fantastic. Hats off to you, Jimmy. Bravo, man. Fantastic job. And having been out there on the front line and seen what these guys do, and you've seen it, I brought it to the screens on Discovery Channel. Utter respect. Right, now, let's talk about cars. Right? Yeah. Cars. Right, now, first car. Your first car, is it this picture that you sent me? Is that your first car?
Are you going to put that picture up?
Yeah, but is it that car?
This is my first car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have... hold on. I've just got to do a public health and safety warning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have children watching the screen and you might want to hide them just for their eyes or turn away from the screen, you may be comfortable with it. Some people may be comfortable with it. But as long as I've just given you this warning, you've had fair warning. But this is Jimmy's first car. You're going to like this.
Here we go. I was upside down, Mike.
That is upside down.
It's upside down. I don't know why it's upside down, but it's probably more anatomically correct.
Oh no, what you're saying, your camera's upside down. You're seeing it upside down. No, the world is seeing it the correct way up. You've got your iPad upside down, Jimmy.
All right, there you go.
Oh no, the world's seeing it the correct way up. So there is your Landy. Tell us about it.
So that's my Series 3. Listen, that was a car that I coveted for years. It was my neighbour's car, and you might notice the number plate. That's not a personalised number plate. That is its original number plate, JDB, which is my initials. I was a massive Land Rover fan, and my neighbour had this car. It was like, that was the colour I wanted. It had my name on the number plate, and I dreamt of it. I was fortunate enough that the water pump failed, the head cracked, and my neighbour was just having a baby at the time and just couldn't be bothered with it. They took it to the garage, they stripped the engine down, and they needed it getting fixed. There was a big bill going to happen, and so they said, can't be bothered, they're going to sell it. So I gave them the same money as the garage offered them, and I had it. And the trouble being, Mike, knowing nothing about cars, the garage had fully stripped that engine down to every nut and bolt. So I got it, towed it home from the garage, and the back was full of all the pieces. And that really is where my mechanical love affair started, because I got a Haynes manual, where a lot of us started. And the first thing I had to do was go through it and just work out what the bits actually were, let alone where they went. And that's just where it all began.
Jimmy, I'm a little bit perplexed by the grille option. I'd never seen that grille option. I mean, I've bought and sold Land Rovers all my life, and I've gone through the options catalogue over and over again, but I never see that as an option. Explain.
Listen, you're a young man. You got yourself a Land Rover. Look, it's got a canvas top, and I used to go down with my friends surfing with that, and that was just one of the appendages that hung on it time to time. That was I mean, we've all seen the In-Betweeners, haven't we?
Yep.
And we all know what they called themselves when they went out. That was our version back in the day. I had bleach blonde hair. I was tanned.
Once you're bitten by the Land Rover bug, though, you just can't seem to get away from it. It really is they're a strange thing, aren't they, Land Rovers? They're not brilliant, and they're tight inside. They're agricultural. Oh, hello, Jimmy's gone. Jimmy,
I'm still here. I don't know what's happened there, Mike.
Oh, well, join in again. Don't worry, we've still got your voice. So you just click the link again. And join in, but they're very agricultural. To manoeuvre, and we're now looking at your nice garden, Jimmy. I'm looking at your nice garden.
My my Land Rover's parked out there. Hang on a minute. Front camera.
There you are. You're back again.
I have no idea what happened there.
You just dropped off. You probably got a little meter on that one. You got a little meter that runs. So, once you're bitten by the Land Rover bug, you can't seem to get away from it. I noticed you did a little tour around the workshop online recently. You've still got that Land Rover, haven't you?
The slammed one.
No, that one, your first car.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually just about. Well, this is a sad story. There's another COVID-19 story. So we were just going. That was on a trailer, if you remember, on the tour of my workshop, and it was literally loaded to go to the restoration show at the NEC because I'm about to restore it, and I'm going to do an article in Practical Classic magazine, and COVID-19 absolutely stopped that dead in its tracks. Getting the parts, just everything's had to stop. So she waits still, and you know what? I want to pick that project up properly. It's another project that I want to do. It's a passion project, so it's very special. I want to do it in the right way, and so I'm happy to wait. It pains me a little bit because this would have been a great time to get on with it, but you've got to do these things in the right way.
Of course.
So yeah, she's waiting again.
Of course. And let's talk about the next car then. So obviously you've got quite a collection of cars and you bought and sold cars and had cars all your life. We'll get on to the cars that you're working on the show in a minute. But even though you're working on cars on TV constantly, or you're reviewing cars when you're doing fifth gear, it still doesn't stop you jumping on the internet and having that moment of madness, probably one or two many of these, a little bit like me. And then you have that moment of madness.
Ribena and it still happens.
That's not Ribena, unfortunately. You click the mouse. I'm going to come out of this COVID. I said this the other day. A hunk, a chunk, or a drunk. And I'm coming out of it a chunk and a drunk. I'm not Joe Wicks. That's definitely not happening. So you click away with a mouse and you go and buy yourself a cracking looking little Healy Sprite. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I was on Facebook and it popped up and it was 20 miles from me. You know what? I tried to ignore it. I've always wanted a classic race car. And it popped up and I ignored it. And I actually that day went up to Manchester. And the next day I was up in Manchester working and it was the first thing I thought of in the morning. And I phoned them up and they already had a viewer coming on. This was on a Thursday. They had a viewer coming on Sunday. So I got on a train back home and I stood in the garage looking at this very rusty 1959 Austin Healy Sprite from America, original left-hand drive, with an SCCA Marshall stamp on the rollover bar. And I was stood there for 2 hours, I'm in an iron, because I hadn't been planning to get an Austin Healy Sprite, didn't know anything about them. But this car, it was just talking to me yet again. The racing heritage, what it's been to, and I said to the guy after I'd been there 2 hours, I said, "Listen, I've been stood here 2 hours, so I'm having it." But I was trying to talk myself out of it. Like, it's got no flaws. It's got no flaws.
Well, guess what? My next door neighbour, literally my next door neighbour in a business, is Austin Healy Spares. So I've got the hotline number. They are the people that make the floors. They make every single part for that car. Every part of it they make for that car. And I've got the hotline straight to the top of the tree. But because it's me and you, Jimmy, mates rates. I'm pretty sure I can get you mates rates.
Oh, I'm liking that sound. I'm going to need a lot of them.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot. We've had lots of people online. So one of them's Kevin Jackson. He's a guy that I met when in Kandahar. He says, thanks a lot about a chat. That means a lot to him. We've got some friends out of here as well. Thank you for your service, Jimmy. That's nice, isn't it? From Mark. Yeah, really appreciate that. We've got friends of ours out there again tonight. Paul Montesano. Good afternoon, Mike. Paul is... he's the president, sir, of the world's biggest Mustang Owners Club. He's just made my dad a member, Orange County Mustang Owners Club, and he's just made my dad a member. And we've got Doug Campbell out there, good-looking Doug and his beautiful wife, Marissa. We've got loads of people joining us online, and some questions are starting to come in for you, and I'll get them. It's not, what's that? It's not the correct way up, Mike. It's upside down. Oh,
which one was upside down?
It must have been the Land Rover. I don't know why, because it's the correct way up on my screen. But
Austin Healy was the right way up for me.
Who knows?
Me and Mike, technology.
They're saying it's upside down. I apologise, people. Just for that moment, you were looking at a a willy going the wrong way. That's all. That was all. Don't worry about it.
Doing a sort of, anatomy
Somebody, this is a good one. This is a good one. Somebody says, Les Morris, was that the crank handle at the front?
Yeah. Yes, it was Les.
What a lovely lady that supports me out there online. Shell Lawman Motors, Shell Lawman Motorsport, sorry. Everyone knows Shell. She's gorgeous. Hello, darling. How are you? Thank you very much for joining in as well. So, yeah, I mean, look, Jimmy, let's talk about the world of television. Before we get on the Goblin, I know I'm going to do this a little bit out of kilter here because you started on Goblin and then went on to Fifth Gear. Let's just talk a little bit about your role in Fifth Gear, because for you, you're not naturally a motoring journalist in terms of a car reviewer. You're a guy that, hot rods engines and cuts cars around. So how did that come about?
Well, also, Mike, I'm an engineer, really. That's my background. So I got a phone call one day saying, would I be interested in Fifth Gear? I'll be honest, I was a little bit shocked. For me, Fifth Gear, every day I work on it, it's like my first day at school, because it's presenting, you're doing a review. It's a very, very different job, and what a talent. Watching, Vicky, Jason, Johnny do their thing. It's so impressive. And it's my first day at school every day there, but it's a real pleasure. I think they wanted to bring in maybe a slightly different view, and I'm probably a sort of dirtier, uglier view, coming from my sort of engineering background. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel completely blown away to be a little part of it. It's been a joy for me to, get involved with the gang, really.
Fantastic. I've got Mr. Plato coming on for an interview next week. Have you seen Jason recently in his new face fungus?
I have seen his. He's gone full beard.
He's gone full beard. He looks like Father Christmas. In fact, when we did a FaceTime the other day, me and Jason, for a good 2 hours, we was on FaceTime. And when he first come on, I thought he'd been chained to a radiator somewhere in the Middle East for a couple of years. He looked like all shaggy hair, this big beard. It was like Bob Geldof had just, been put on the shelf and just forgotten about for years. And I was like, Jason, what have you done, man? He went, don't you like it? Everyone should grow a beard. Everyone should grow a beard. But he was very complimentary about you. He said about your face furniture and the way. Oh, you've gone off again. He said about. I don't know. Your internet, Jimmy. He said about your face furniture and the way that you trim it.
Hang on, Mike. I have to come in again. I don't know what.
Don't worry. We're still broadcasting live because they're looking at me if they're not looking at you. So
I'm hitting the link again to get back in.
You hit the link. You'll be back on. Don't worry. Fingers crossed we get to see each other again at the NEC in November. That's from Paul Clappison. Yes, Paul. Fingers crossed we will. I think in November, I think we'll all be back on and we'll all get together again. I can't wait for that. My buddy has a 67 De Ville. It goes away sometimes without notice. Good vehicle. Roback, what's the road time behind you, Jimmy?
Okay. I can tell you about that in a sec. I'm going the roadside behind me. I've got to change my camera again away from garden view. Hey, Mike, the sound's working.
We got sound again. You can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course I can. I can't hear you coming out out your speakers still. I've still got you coming out the phone, but don't worry, we got you back up on screen.
The roadside behind me, that's actually from the Northern Ireland days. It actually says dangerous snipers at work. So that is a real sniper at work sign from the Northern Ireland days.
Wow. Was there really a road sign that said that? I can't believe it.
Yeah, it says underneath, it says sniper at work.
It's brilliant. Right, so yeah, lots of questions coming in. Let's have a look at this one. Craig Rumsey. Hi, Jimmy. What was the first hot rod you built?
Hot rod, I mean...
First time you got a car and stripped it apart and put it back together differently. That's a hot rod.
Oh, no, I just thought of what it was.
Land Rover.
No, the first one I put back together differently is it was Reliant, Robin.
Nice. Yeah.
LX.
Do you know there's some things that you would admit to live out there to millions of people on the internet, and there's some things you'll go, I'll lie. I'll say something like, oh, so that's the Martin DB4, Mike.
Look, it's actually an amazing little car because it's got 5 glass bodies, so it's really light. It's got the same engine as the Mini. They go like stink. I'm trying to sell it, aren't I?
You are.
A-series engine, 5 glass body, 3-wheeler. Weird, isn't it?
It is weird. It is. It is weird. Right. Well, listen. So we spoke a little bit about fifth gear and what a privilege it is to go and work on that. I worked with Jason for 4 years. Probably with some of the best 4 years I've ever had in television, working in that level, you know, doing that presenting level, road testing cars. I absolutely love working on Driven. And I miss those days. But now let's talk about where you've made this global name for yourself, because I live in California. We're on the biggest motoring network in the world, which is called Motor Trend, which is based out of California. And if you go to their homepage, there's a picture of Wheeler Dealers and there's a picture of Goblin Works Garage. And that, for me, it makes my heart fill with joy when I see that, because we're Brits smashing it on the global stage, and we are the best. We're exporting the best of what we are around the world. So tell us a little bit about what you think of Goblin, how proud you are to be a part of it, and then we'll get onto some cars.
You know what, Goblin Works Garage for me, it's this mega beast. It is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the funnest thing I've ever done. It's crazy. The cars are insane, and I love it. It's like one of those things, you love it, but you know when something is really, really tough, and to do the builds in the time we do them, under the pressures we do them, it is tough. But at the end of it, when you stand back and see what we've done, it's a real privilege to be able to do it. You know, do what we love on telly.
Yeah. I mean, you should have phoned me, Jimmy, beforehand, and I would have said to you, Jimmy, it's not easy. Wheeler Dealers is to say it's the toughest job in the world. It really is, because you're given strict guidelines. Once, a lot of people out there won't appreciate this, and they will say, "Oh, why didn't I see that part of the build? Or why didn't you show that part of the build?" We get 42 minutes in an hour to show you that program. That's all it is. And in that 42 minutes that me and Jimmy get, we're going to try and show you a complete build. In his case, he's going to do a complete hot rod restoration of a vehicle. In Jimmy's case, and what you won't appreciate is the stuff that you don't see. You're only seeing the stuff that you do see. There is tons of stuff that you don't see when you're working at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, getting there at 5 o'clock in the morning to get even though the camera crew ain't turning up to 8 or 9, you're there at 5 to try and catch up before they get there. And that happens all the time, constantly. And the reason is because once you're in production, there is a transmission date, and that date globally doesn't change. If they say your first show's going out August the 18th, and you building something in June, you've got June the 18th, you've got 2 months before your first transmission date. That never changes. And that's why it becomes such pressure, huge amounts of pressure. So, yes, TV is hard, Jimmy. It really is hard. What's it like working with the other two? Because, you know, that's part of what people watch the show for, is the chemistry.
It's beautiful, insane madness. I love it. You know what? I'm lucky enough to work with 2 incredibly talented, incredibly crazy, bonkers, wonderful people, Anne and Helen, who bring, like, I consider myself to be, I'm an engineer, I'm quite autistic, and I'm very particular. And then I have flamboyance, wonderful craziness, which is almost polar opposite to me, but you smash it all together. It allows me and us to achieve things that I would never, ever imagine, because I wouldn't simply think of doing them.
It's absolute, and that's the genius of Goblin Works Garage. That really is the genius. That laid back, very charismatic attitude from Ant, you know, and the worry that we get from Ant, the madness from you, and then that creativity that we get from Helen. And you just mix the 3 of those together, and you've got the perfect ingredients.
Yeah, Helen's artistic ability, Ant's madness, I just love it. I love it, because it's a, don't get me wrong, it's a chemistry, and whenever you have chemistry, sometimes you have fireworks, but out of a lot of time comes what some people hate and some people love. But what I love about that is you get conversation. Because if you love something, people are going to hate it, as we all know. And that's a joy.
Yeah, and what I always say when I'm having those kind of heated debates with cast and crew, I always say if we're arguing about making something better in the program, which is I always want to make something better. So if we're arguing about making something better for the audience or better in the show, then it's an argument that we should have. And let's carry on this argument. So well done, you. So now let's talk about your creations, Jimmy, because first of all, right, you've done some amazing. That Slam Land Rover, I thought was the bravest thing I've ever seen on TV. You've taken an icon, you've taken a British icon, a Land Rover, and then you've done something that nobody would dare do on television. But you did it and you pulled it off. Yeah. And you sold it.
You know what? The thing is, for me, that was a funny one because I'm a massive Land Rover fan. I mean, I own 3 now, and they're my first car, and it's my daily driver. And I've grown up with my Land Rovers, being called Chelsea Tractors and all this. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to spin that on its head and I'm going to send it back out there. I'm going to give people that Chelsea Tractor that they've been nagging me about. But I also did seriously consider the fact that I think the series Land Rover could handle that look. And for me, I love that vehicle. I love it because, above all, Ant thought he was going to hate it. He hated it. He called it a chicken shed.
Yeah, he did.
And he loved it once it was done. And that, for me, is exactly what I was on about. Some people love it and some people hate it. But for me, it's a triumph.
No, it's not a triumph. It's not a triumph. It's a Land Rover, Jimmy. It's not a triumph. It's definitely a Land Rover. So let's. Paul Montesano said before we get on to your best and worst. Hey, Mike, a question for Jimmy. How is having a woman on the team? I think it's awesome. Is it as popular there as in the US where they are having women on the team? Lots of US custom shows always have a woman on the team. By the way, 38% of their club, which is the biggest Mustang club in the world, 38% of their club are women, which is brilliant.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I actually met Helen outside the show, and we met when we were looking at.
Oh, hello.
Big away.
Yeah.
It was actually a car that Helen at the time had been part of building that I found first. And I found a car that she'd been building. And from that, I found her. So it was actually a vehicle led me to a person. So I had absolutely zero. It was the vehicle. I was wanting the people or person that was involved with creating that vehicle is what I was after. The fact it was Helen didn't really occur to me. It was Helen, and that is gone from there. And we actually, I mean, you know, Mike, part of getting a show like Goblin away or any new show is explaining to the channel what the show is. And we actually had a little show at a place called the Bike Shed with Helen's car, and we invited the channel there, and it was showing them the whole theme, the scene, the type of car for them to understand what it was we wanted to do. So Helen and I were doing that way before, you know, the show existed.
Yeah, good.
And that's how it happened.
Oh, that's fantastic. Brilliant. So now let's talk about, before we get on to the worst car. No, let's do it the other way around. Let's talk about the worst car first, right? So
okay.
What's the worst? You know, sometimes in TV, we don't always get it right. You know, take Wheeler Dealers, the AMC Pacer. You know, we'll be the first to admit that was a dog's dinner, that car. That's why I gave it away to charity. So what is the mistakes you've made? What's the worst car you've done?
So the worst car, without a shadow of a doubt, is a modern VW Beetle.
The green one.
The frog, the frog. Just horrendous, Mike. Just horrendous. Listen, the thing is, right, and we can't always show exactly, or we don't. Our shows are edited. So the thing is with that, we wanted to do something new. We want to do something different. And when you're doing something new that hasn't been done before, you're not copying something, you're trying to start something. Occasionally that's going to go wrong, right?
Yeah.
and on this one it did. You know, we wanted to give it a real classic kind of hot rod slam look. We made something that looked like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh, that's pretty brave. Yeah, really brave." I think you're going to be called out on that. Yeah. So look, I always said with in the olden days with me and Ed, there's a couple of shows that I've been into the Discovery Towers I've gone through the archive. I wanted to get the tapes off the shelf and stamp on them so they can never ever be used again. Shows like the Suzuki SJ410 and the AMC Pacer. So I gather you feel the same about that one.
I think it'd be fair to say that Ant, Helen, and I all feel the same. We our wish for that end of that show was, as it being a way to get, I think, the paint, and as it was coming back on the trailer, we said, listen, can we end the show with, as he pulls up in the trailer, it falls off the side. We're not ending with that.
The problem is, and it's the problem for me, it's the same problem for me that I've had for 18 years, and you're just experiencing it. That show will be repeated infinitum somewhere around the world forever, and you will constantly be harassed by people going, what have you done? In 10 years' time, somebody's going to give you a hard time over it.
Say again, Mike?
In 10 years' time, somebody will give you a hard time over it because it's the first time they've seen it.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy that we tried something brave, but I put my hands in the air and went, it went wrong. It went wrong.
Right, now let's talk about when it goes absolutely right. And not only is it your favourite build, I think it's my favourite build as well, because I'm a super fan of these cars. Talk us through it.
So we did a Ford Capri. You've done a Ford Capri recently with Anne, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what a British legend.
Don't disappear, Jimmy. Yeah, say it again. What a British legend.
Utter British legend. The closest thing, I think, to a British muscle car.
Yes, absolutely. It's our version of it's the British Mustang.
Yeah, it is. And I was really saddened by the fact that, for me, being an engineer, and that it didn't have a V8, and I always felt like it was a bit of a shame that we didn't have a V8. I think it deserved a V8, Mike. I really felt that passionately, and so that's what we wanted to do with it. We wanted to do a bit of a resto mod on it, make it a little bit different, freshen it up a little bit, not too much. But the biggest thing we wanted to do is get that brand new Coyote V8 in there, just under 500 horsepower in that bonnet, under that bonnet.
And what a great job you did. I mean, the car looked awesome at the end. Funny enough, it's a design cue that Helen's got that you've taken through onto the mini build as well. That same sort of ethos in design. But to put that engine in it, that Coyote engine, shoehorn in that 5-litre V8 under the bonnet of where remember the Capri when it came out, you could buy it in a 1.3 and a 1.6. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we've got a 5-litre V8 under the bonnet in the same space. Yeah. Pretty clever.
Yeah, I'll be honest, probably one of the hardest things that we've done, most complex. You start looking at once you take the engine out, you start looking and go, loads of room there. And then you get the Coyote engine turns up and you go, oh, no.
Yeah.
Everything has to be custom built, from the power steering, the pedal box, everything to fit around that engine. Yeah. It was a really tough install. It was a build that went over budget. It was in the early days of us. We've probably toned it down a little bit from that to stay within the budgets that we have to work with. But what a joy that, a beast of a car, just a beast of a car.
Amazing car. Absolutely amazing car. Yeah, I loved it. I've seen it in the flesh as well, which leads me on to our next thing, because me and Jimmy, we worked together with Ant and Elvis and Helen and the other Ant. We worked together professionally on live stages in the country when we're presenting at the NEC, either a restoration show or the classic motor show at the end of the year. That's a chance for us to be in touch with our audience. And last year, opposite the Wheeler Dealer live stage, we had the Goblin Works garage stand, which you had all your vehicles out on display. Two things, Jimmy. One is, what a loss this year that we're not doing those kind of things at the moment, and all these car shows have been cancelled. But two, how good is it when you've got your cars there and those thousands of people are coming up saying, that is awesome, you did that, that's amazing.
Yeah, listen, that's, for me, it's the highlight of every year, because we slave away, don't we, in our workshops, filming, making these TV shows, and we get on social media and we get judged on there. But so I always say every year, listen, you want to talk about the cars, come and see me at the NEC, come and chat to me, as you do, Mike. We spend all week, when we're not on the stage, we're on our stands, or we're going around meeting people. And we stand there with the cars, and I say, come and tell me how bad my car is in front of it, and let's talk about it. And I can explain why and what happened and where it would go next. But there they are in the flesh. And the response we get, live in front of the vehicles, people I think are more impressed than they are when they see the shows.
Yeah,
because it is a physical thing, and they can suddenly see the hard work that's gone into them.
Well, I've spoken to the organisers. I spoke to Lee and to Dan and to Andrea, and this year we're going to give you your own hall and just the Beetle, because you will have quite a few people that want you to explain that build to them. So we've already pre-sold 50,000 tickets for people just for that one hall, because they want to come and talk to you about the Beetle.
Yeah, I'm also going to be taking the tractor with me, and you can ram it the hardest.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen, me and Jimmy, the sad thing is we've lost the restoration show earlier on this year. That was postponed and now it's been cancelled. We've all got our fingers crossed that we will be doing the NEC in November. The world should have reset somewhat by then. And we hope that we're going to be in November. You will find Goblin Works Garage there. They will have a stand, or Jimmy's Garage will be there. He will have a booth or a stand. And it's usually around where the live stage is. And we're the most contactable, easy people to get hold of at the show. If we're not on stage talking, we're in the audience talking to you. So please buy a ticket and come and see us. Jimmy.
Yes.
What are you doing the rest of the week other than trying to push that tractor into your garage?
I've just literally finished off my house. I've been building my own house for 8 years, Mike. I got it signed off last week by building control. So you know what? I'm going to get in the garden, enjoy some of this weather, have a beer, have a barbecue, relax, enjoy myself. And
invite some friends over on Monday. You can do that now. I'm on my way. Me and Michelle are on our way. Let's take a couple of questions. So a couple of questions from the audience. Ed Mank, have either of you done an episode with a car that was so difficult it was abandoned? If so, what car? I'll go first. No.
No, never abandoned one. I wanted to abandon that VW Beetle. I knew it was going down the pan, but we're doing a TV show. You've got to get it finished. You don't not get it finished. I could have let that go halfway through happily, but you don't.
Andre de Jong, have you ever built a compressor on a 2.5 litre Jeep Wrangler TJ to give it more power? Well, I certainly haven't.
I certainly haven't either. I've never done a Jeep.
Sounds interesting, though. I'm just currently doing a Wrangler Jeep with ants at the moment in America. Are you? Did I say that out loud?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Nobody heard that. Yes, Chris Wynn, who's our photographer at the NEC. We love him to bits. I hope to see you all at the NEC, God willing. Yes, Chris.
Chris.
Chris likes to see our gurning faces on the stage. Come on, boys. Give me one more time. What's this one? Daniel Bissell. Let's have him up there. 10 monkeys in a bag of sand was all I paid for my first car, a Ford Fairmont, that I didn't have to spend 6 months working on it to get it run and pass an MOT. Free cars are hardly ever free. Well, there you go, Daniel. That's a lesson for all of us. Andy Talbot out there. Andy, he's the voiceover for Auto Mondial, which is equally one of the biggest car shows in the world that nobody's heard of. It's on every single network all over the world. And Andy Talbot's the voice of that show and works with Greenlight Television. So hello, Andy. Paul, we've done that one about having women. There's so many questions, Jimmy. It's hard to dig one out. But, Jimmy, if people want, because you've got to have the rest of your evening to yourself. If people want to find you, Jimmy, where can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter, Jimmy De Ville, Jimmy_De Ville.
If they want to find you on Instagram?
Instagram, Jimmy De Ville's Garage.
And if they want to find you on Facebook?
Jimmy De Ville's Garage. Come and say hello.
Come and say hello. And
Mike, can I do a shout out as well?
Yeah, go for it.
To Adam, who does, he's just done an online Facebook event, which was Revs Limiter. He's doing a new event in July, Revs Restore. It's in July, middle, about 16th, 15th. Anyway, cracking guy for a great cause. Get involved, people. The links are up there.
I don't like him. I don't like him because he had everyone on there, and I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get an invite.
Right, I'll sort that
out. Don't worry. No, I'm kidding. I loved it. I watched it all day. I loved it when Fuzz was walking around his workshop and Paul Cowland's walking around his workshop. I just thought it was brilliant. And I love the fact that some people took too much time And then they're on social media immediately after apologizing, saying, oh, I spoke for 1 minute too long. I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. But no, it's always good to see fellow car buddies. You know, I love Fuzz. I love Paul Cowland, obviously, you guys. So it's always nice to see the team out there talking about cars. Really good stuff. Well, listen, to everyone out there, the huge audience that's joined us online, me and Jimmy just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your questions. Jimmy, you've been an amazing guest this week. I really do appreciate it, you coming on.
Cheers, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to catch up with Jimmy or see any of what Jimmy has done, it's really, really easy. If you've missed any of the previous Goblin Works Garage or even Fifth Gear, you can download the Motor Trend app. You can get it on any device, the Motor Trend app. It's just a few quid a month. I think it's £3.99 a month. And it gives you access to not only Goblin Works Garage and Fifth Gear, but also all of Wheeler Dealers, Dream Car, my new series World of Cars, Ansted's Master Mechanics, Richard Rawlins, Fast, and every car show you can think of is on the app. They're all on the app, and you can watch them anytime you like. So download the app. I do believe there's a 14-day free trial out there right now as well. Yeah, that's how you can catch up with Jimmy and what he's been up to. Thanks once again, Jimmy.
Cheers, Mike.
Really appreciate it, and I'll join you in the garden soon for that beer.
Absolutely, and make sure you bring Michelle.
I will do. Oh, thanks.
But you get boring after a while.
Jesus, why did you have to say that? She's listening now. She has to come. Right, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause, Mr. Jimmy De Ville.
Guys.
See you later, Jimmy.
Cheers, Mike.
So that's it from me for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. Next week, I might be doing 2 shows next week because I've got 2 guests lined up and they both want to do the same week. They are none other than Mr. Frank Stephenson, who's the absolute legendary car designer. Designed everything from the Mini 1, BMW X5, Ferrari 612 and every McLaren. So Frank Stephenson, even done the rear of the Escort Cosworth. We'll have him on, and I'm very excited about that. And we'll also have one of my heroes on as well, Mr. Jason Plato. And Jason's going to be coming on and talking about his racing career, why he's the most successful tin top driver in the world with the most wins, what makes a racing driver, what his passions are, what he's up to now, and what he's going to be up to in the future. So I'll have 2 shows. I'll post them out there on the internet and let you know when they're coming up. In the meantime, from me and from my family, just stay safe, stay aware, stay alert, protect each other, protect our NHS, and get ready for Monday when we can all have a barbecue in the garden and have a little bit of social distancing fun at the same time. Again, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Lots of love. And let me just push this for you. Ta-da!